Hello there. Thank you for listening to another episode of Hello There, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Anthony Palm and joined as always by Nate Hicks. And just real quick up front on the podcast, a couple of corrections from prior episodes. One correction needed is my bad, and that is the episode numbers. This is episode 20. And because I listed episode 16 twice. Originally, this was going to be episode 19, and I was like, wait a minute. So that's my one little correction. This is episode 20. Glad to be with all of you guys. Of course, that's not including our commentary track for The Phantom Menace, which is now live. You can go listen to standalone or along with the movie. And, our past hyperspace chats as well, which are our solo kind of episodes. But Nate, you have some corrections from our Galaxy's Edge episode a couple weeks ago as well. Why don't you go ahead and fill the listeners in on whatever it is. You didn't even tell me what it was. You just said you need to say a correction right before I click the play button. So go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a few. The first one is one of the statements I made that I'd heard from someone else in terms of doing the droid depot. I had heard someone say that it's best if you're going to go to the droid depot to get 2 droids instead of just 1 because they'll interact with each other. After a couple weeks, everyone's starting to figure this stuff out. That's actually factually incorrect. If you get 2 droids, they're not going to interact with each other per se. They have a specific, they're on like, as far as their boops and beeps and like their interaction sounds, they're on kind of like a timer per se. So it may seem like they're interacting, but the reason why people were thinking that is because if you take your droid to Galaxy's Edge and it's turned on, it'll interact with the world that's going on because Disney, like throughout Galaxy's Edge, they're sending beacons of like signals to make the droids like kind of move around, interact. So it seems like they're interacting with each other. But in fact, if you take 2 home, they're not going to have a conversation with each other. So I didn't want you to spend $200 because I said that, even though not whoever's listening probably is not going to Galaxy's Edge right now because it's still so packed. But also this one was a little bit more minor. I talked about the Legacy sabers and about how I still think they're better than the Hasbro, but I talked about the Luke Return of the Jedi one. I watched a couple of unboxing videos, and apparently some sabers come with different things. So like for the Luke Return of the Jedi one, it's got the thin neck for a display. However, if you want to put a blade in there, it comes with a different piece that basically makes it look like the Hasbro one. Okay. So it's got a thick neck instead. So you have both. So if you want to use it, you're not going to put it in the one that's got the thin neck version. That's going to be for display. But also, that's another thing that's kind of cool is some stuff comes with different things. Like the one I was curious about was Kylo Ren's because they sell the blade. I'm like, well, what about the side blades? And those come with it. So some of those sabers like that have different pieces included with them for different purposes, basically. But yeah, the biggest one was the droids. The droids actually don't interact with each other when you're at home. They'll interact with each other, or it seems like in the park. But I personally would say if you're looking to spend $200, go to Savi's. From what I've seen, at least. I haven't gone yet, but personal preference.
All right. Well, that's good to know for all our listeners that may be going to Galaxy's Edge. Hopefully you didn't take Nate's previous advice, but if so, I'm sure you're happy with it regardless. So this week we're going to be talking about Star Wars and video games. So we're going to highlight Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order by Respawn Studio, and also the Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. So the 2 games that were talked about, one revealed at this past E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo. That's right. Electronic. I always forget because I just call it E3. Both were talked about. Again, the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga was revealed at E3, which was awesome. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to wrap the show up with our favorite Star Wars games of the past, which would I guess be Legends canon technically. So we'll talk about that towards the end. I'm excited to kind of talk about that, honestly. But let's get into it. Let's start off with the Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, just because there's less to talk about with that. So kind of just get that out of the way up front, and then we'll kind of tackle the giant story that is Jedi Fallen Order. So the Skywalker Saga was kind of a surprise to me. It was at the Microsoft conference, correct?
Correct.
And so it's made by Traveler's Tales Games, which they make all the Lego games. And it looks like it's going to have the classic Star Wars, or just the classic Lego game grunts. It's not going to be actual dialogue from the movie, which diehard Lego fans actually prefer. because it kind of almost breaks the immersion and the cutesiness of the Lego games. When it's, I know the Lego Lord of the Rings and other ones have actually taken dialogue from the movies and inserted it into the game, and so it's kind of jarring to some people. I know some people do prefer it because it's like you
The
get
Force
to actually
Awakens did it as well.
the grunts.
No, they didn't do the grunts. They did the actual movie.
Oh, they did the actual lines. Yeah, see, I only played the demo for the Force Awakens, so
it's good. It's honestly good. It's really, really good.
Yeah, so I've played a little bit of the Lego episode. Was it episode
3, the Clone Wars one?
It was episode 3 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, because I'm getting confused because like episode 3 is Revenge of the Sith, but they're saying like the Lego episode 3, not Star Wars episode 3. So I always get confused. So I played the Clone Wars one a little bit, which is funny because it starts off at the end of Attack of the Clones when they're in the Geonosis arena. And then I messed around with the old Lego Star Wars games, which are excellent. And I'm excited, man. It looks amazing. Like, just visually speaking, I mean, I don't know how it could look more like real Legos than this. It's just, it looks fantastic. And again, the grunts are cool. The fact that this is going to be 9 movies in one game. Now, I wonder if this is going to include Clone Wars content as well, because I don't know if that's been confirmed, which we can actually kind of research a little bit. Hopefully it has some Clone Wars content, but I mean, at bare minimum, it's going to have episodes 1 through 3, which is going to make me happy, because you know how much of a prequels lover I am. So this was a huge surprise to me. What did you think when you? Because I heard the Star Wars theme, and then it was like a Lego TIE Fighter fly by, and I was like, "Whoa, no way!" What are your thoughts?
Well, for sure, wasn't expecting it. It was kind of one of those realizations. Oh wait, they didn't do a Lego game for The Last Jedi, and so it was a cool surprise because you kind of expected them to do like a sequel trilogy game. That's what I thought, at least. And then for them to do this, to give you a slight spoiler for what we'll talk about later, I was honestly more excited about this announcement than the actual gameplay demo for Fallen Jedi, which I feel like says a lot on both parts. But after seeing it, my immediate thought was, my favorite Lego game of all time is the Complete Saga. And I feel like that's a lot of, especially Star Wars, because I got it on my iPad the other day and started playing again. I'm like, this game is perfect. Like, I love this game. So
yeah, like I just started messing around with my Xbox again, because I'm mostly a PC and a PS4 and a Switch gamer, so everything but Xbox. But I was messing around on my Xbox and I saw that was like one of the prior like Xbox games with gold, and I was like, should I just download this even just to have it for the Complete Saga? So yeah, I'm with you. It's one of those games you could just hop into it and just mess around and have fun.
Well, it's so good, the way, like, everything about it. Like, of course, playing the movies was cool, but like the hub world, like everything about it was well designed and well made. So seeing this, I'm like, okay, cool. So it seems like we're getting this game just much better
with 3 more movies, and it looks better.
Way better.
They're probably adding more stuff too. So.
Yeah, so I'm so excited for this. It's, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, like it was one of those kind of building of excitement. Like, it was just, man, I'm so stoked about this game.
So yeah, I'm reading on Game Informer's website. They're saying at least 20 planets are going to be fully explorable in the final game. That's crazy, because you think about it, there's only like 9 planets in all the movies. I was thinking about it like a couple weeks ago, where I was like, well, there's only like Tatooine and Yavin in Episode 4.
There's pretty much,
and then there's only like Hoth and Bespin and Dagobah, I guess. And then Episode 6, there's Endor and Tatooine, and then the Death Star. It's like, you think about it, like, it always feels like there's more planets in Star Wars than there actually is. Like, that's what I loved about the prequels, is the world building and the fact that there were so many locations. Versus like the original trilogy, it's more tight.
Yeah.
But so like, it is just funny thinking about. So that's cool. There's gonna be 20 explorable planets, which leads me to believe Clone Wars is gonna be involved in somehow, because it's not like there's a lot of planets in the sequel trilogy either.
Yeah.
I mean, The Last Jedi, it was literally the same base from the first movie, from Force Awakens, which they're on for 10 seconds. Then they're in ships for 90% of the movie, and then they're on Crate for like the end of the movie. So it's not like there's a lot of planets there.
Well, the thing that I'm the most interested in is if they're going to include mechanics from The Force Awakens, Lego The Force Awakens, because that one did something really interesting. So basically, in between main missions, it's kind of an open world game. Like, there's no hub world per se, but like for example, when you start to play as Rey, you're walking around Jakku, like different parts, like you're walking to your next objective.
Right. So instead of a hub world, it's just open world areas.
Yeah, but they also
whereas there was a hub world because each level would be like self-contained. So now it's like you don't need the hub world because everything's so open.
Yeah, but they also do some cool mechanic things. Like, for example, anytime you're playing a mission where you're shooting, so like at the very beginning, or the scene where Finn is rescuing Poe, they'll have certain segments. If there's like a lot of people, you'll basically turn into a cover-based shooter. So you'll be at cover, you'll aim up to shoot, the guys coming until you kill a certain amount or destroy a certain amount, and you'll go like cover to cover. So they did some very interesting things with it. So I'm curious to see if they're going to marry these two games together to make this, and to see what they're going to do to expand on it. Because if it's just a prettier, like more in-depth version of the complete saga, I'll be totally happy with that. 100%.
Yeah, it looks like, so I'm reading on the same Game Informer article that there's behind the shoulder camera kind of mechanics for shooting, which sounds kind of similar to what you're saying with Force Awakens. And also it looks like there's like a free roam space area where you can just fly around as the Millennium Falcon. So I don't know if that's like how you get between worlds, maybe. So that sounds kind of cool.
See, hopefully
almost kind of like the gummy ships in Kingdom
I was
Hearts.
just about to say hopefully it's better than the gummy ship in Kingdom
Well,
Hearts.
if it was just like a super simplified version of the gummy ships, I'd be fine with it. It's like the Kingdom Hearts 3 just tried to do too much with it, and I was I ignored it. I just flew straight from point A to point B in Kingdom Hearts 3. I was like, I do not have the mental capacity to deal with this. So, but yes, I mean, familiar sights are going to be in it. Tashi Station, which was that actually in the final film, or was that a deleted? That was a deleted scene, wasn't it? Jabba sail barge and the Sarlacc pit are going to be on it. Tatooine, of course. Those are. I mean, you have to have those, right? So if we hear anything more, I'm sure there's going to be more details coming out. Hopefully they announce Clone Wars content's going to be in there as well. But if we hear any more, we'll check back in. But I mean, that's really all we could talk about right now, is that we're really excited and it looks really good.
Yeah, there's no release date. Obviously it's going to be after episode 9 comes out.
I would imagine January would be a good time for it.
Definitely
it's right after
spring game. Yeah.
It's because it's got to be after Rise of Skywalker, which is December 2019. So January would be cool. But I feel for some reason like April or May. I don't know why. I feel like that's like a good time for a game like that. Like May specifically would be good. Maybe April is like too tight, too many games coming out. Yeah. But this is also a total different demographic from like Cyberpunk 2077 and
100%.
And like there's so many games coming out in that period of time. My God. But yeah, so we will check back in on that as we hear more information. But we are both really excited about that. Now let's kind of dig into Respawn Studios' Jedi Fallen Order. So this game takes place after the Jedi Purge, so after Order 66 is executed in Revenge of the Sith, and doesn't seem like it's that long after it, to be honest.
No, I think it's like maybe 10, 14. I think I heard 14 years somewhere, or maybe it's less than 10. Well,
see, I'm just trying to figure out because I keep wanting to say Dominic Monaghan because that's Charlie from Lost, who is in Rise of Skywalker. Cameron Monaghan, who is from Shameless. He's Ian from Shameless, and also he's from Gotham, which we don't talk about. Like, how old is he? You know what I mean? So, like, how old was he at the Jedi Purge? How did he get away?
The biggest indicator would be Saw.
It's like Kanan Jarrus. Like, how old was Kanan when, I forget. Like, I know they said it, but I forgot, like, how old Kanan was during the Order 66.
I feel like the biggest thing to look at would be Saw, like the way he looks in the game versus
true. It is younger Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, he's disheveled in Rogue One. He's really literally falling apart.
He's more like first 5 minutes of Rogue One Saw Gerrera, not later on in the movie. Not did they send you to kill me? Not that Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
Which I do really appreciate the fact that this version of young Saw Gerrera. First of all, I'm assuming the voice acting is also Forrest Whitaker. It is Forrest Whitaker's likeness. But I really appreciate the fact that, and he was in Rebels as well. I don't know if that's a spoiler to you, but
no, I knew that.
He was in Rebels, and I really appreciate that for the younger Saw Gerrera, his accent resembles Saw from the Clone Wars, whereas like older Saw Gerrera sounded a little different because he was so like raspy and like he felt like he was going to keel over.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that his accent is like different when he's younger Saw. So that's really cool. So it's revealed Saw Gerrera is in this game. And the way they kind of introduce him to you in the trailer that they showed was kind of comical, where you play, and I keep forgetting the main character's name. What's Cameron Monaghan's character's name? Cal Kestis or something like that. Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis, yeah.
And so like he's taking over an AT-AT, like he like hijacks it, and then Saw Gerrera hops on top and he like pokes his head out and he's like, "Hey, who are you?" And it's like that's kind of like a cool way of introducing him to the people watching the trailer. So so I think what people originally expected this game to be before they showed any gameplay and what they wanted it to be was Force Unleashed 3, which this is not that. This is not in any way, shape, or form Force Unleashed 3. They were pretty upfront about the fact that this is unlike any kind of Star Wars Jedi game in the past, whereas previous Jedi games have been very like hack and slashy, Force Unleashed 2 especially was like straight up. You just run around.
It's like Star Wars God of War.
Yeah, like and so that's a good. I'm glad you said that because though Force Unleashed was like old God of War, like 1 through 3 plus Ascension, and Fallen Order looks more like the new God of War, where it's like slower, more methodical.
Yeah,
you need to actually plan out your attacks. You can't just like mash the buttons, and a lot of people are divided on this game, and I noticed that people were really down on this game until they found out some information about it that was not shown in the gameplay trailer, which is very strange. So the trailer they showed at EA Play, which is not really a conference, it's like a stream they do.
It was
during
showcase.
E3. Yeah, it's like a showcase, but it wasn't even really a showcase because they had like full panels in between the gameplay footage for all their games. So it's like really not like it is a showcase.
Of a showcase and a pre-show.
Yeah, it's like a stream. That's weird. So the trailer they showed, it shows Cal like scaling walls. He's wall running kind of like Titanfall style, which, Respawn makes the Titanfall and Apex Legend games. No wall running in Apex though. I wish they would add wall running. I understand no jetpacks in Apex, but I wish they would add wall running. But that's that's a story for a different podcast. But yeah, so you see him kind of like slowly, like methodically, kind of like deflecting blaster bolts instead of kind of like rushing in and chopping people down. Now, do you want to talk about the dismemberment thing now, or do you want to talk about the Metroidvania elements of this game now? Well, what do you want to talk about first? Because there's two kind of big things we could really talk about right now.
So I would start with the Metroidvania thing. So the thing that gets first I want to know your opinion. I'll tell everybody mine.
The trailer they showed made it seem like it was going to be just a linear corridor game where you're going, like you start at the beginning of the level and you run to the end of the level.
It seemed very Uncharted.
Right.
Yeah. And so like basically what happened was we found out later on that apparently this game is going to have Metroid like elements. So things like you have your ship and you have, I don't know if you have a crew that you manage, but you have a ship for sure. And
you have a crew. It's just, you don't know if it's like a Mass Effect style where like you're like gaining like loyalty points with them or anything. It's just they might be there to talk to.
But you have the ability to go, like it is linear to an extent, but it's kind of like, I guess the best comparison would be Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
I was going to say the same thing.
Because you have a ship and you can go planet, you can choose where you want to go next, but ultimately it's going to be the same thing. It's not like it's going to be like a Mass Effect style thing.
Like it gave you options to kind of mix it up and vary the gameplay a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of just being straight up like, all right, I beat this. Now it's loading the next chapter. And so
yeah. The thing that got me, and I can go ahead and lead into it. I was part of the group that was disappointed by the gameplay reveal. For me personally, the game, like for what they showed, just seemed very generic. Like as far, maybe not necessarily gameplay, but looks in particular. Like what really got me was at the very beginning, it says alpha footage. And I'm like, this game comes out in 6 months. Like after I made that statement, I was like, well, what it probably was they probably, instead of cutting into their development right now, while they were in that process, they probably cut that vertical slice out so they could showcase it. That would be a good excuse or reason. But the game just looked
that does sound more likely.
Yeah, the game just looked honestly very generic in terms of look, especially like character designs and like the way it actually looked. It was pretty, yeah, but it's one of those, we're getting to the point where graphics look so good that it was kind of an uncanny valley. Like it looks good, but it doesn't look right. Like it doesn't look great. But also, go ahead.
No, good.
I was gonna say what really got me too after reading all this stuff is like, we've maybe not on this show, but personally, we've applauded Respawn before for seeming to break out of the EA mold and basically taking control of their company and their products. The showcase for this demo seemed like a very EA move, not a Respawn.
I'm trying so hard not to do a Bane impression right now. Take control of your shooter. Yeah, no, I agree. And
because why would you not show that other side?
You know what it felt more like, and same with the Star Wars Celebration kind of panel. It feels not so much EA, because EA would have been like, you could spend your money on all this stuff. That would be more EA. It feels like Disney is saying, hey, promote this as this, and then like don't talk to the gamers, talk to the Star Wars fans. And then the gamers are just going to find out all the other stuff because they're going to go look for it anyways. That's what it felt like to me. It's like the Star Wars fans are tuning in, so give them the Star Wars pitch, and like get people that maybe aren't gamers but are Star Wars fan, get them to want to buy the game. And then all the gamers are they're gonna go to IGN, they're gonna go to Kotaku, all those websites, and then they'll learn all the side stuff of, oh yeah, there is like a home base where you can kind of choose what mission to go to and vary up the gameplay and choose different saber blades and whatever. I don't know if you actually could choose saber blades. I'm just trying to think of anything.
Yeah, the gameplay gameplay did look good though. Like I liked the variation what they showed. I liked what it seemed like different enemies. They weren't cookie cutter. Different enemies had like different health. For example, obviously, like they showed your normal trooper, which was able to cut down pretty easily. The scout trooper uniform, or scout troopers, I guess, whatever. They seem a little bit harder. And then obviously your quote unquote mini boss, when you would face them, they had more difficulty, and that seemed more methodic gameplay as well. So the gameplay looked cool, and I'm interested about the different force powers and how you use it. But yeah, your first showing of this game looked like a generic Star Wars Uncharted clone. Like that's what it appearance wise looked like. And then after the fact, we find out all this more information. It's like, why? And that's probably a good example. But at the same time, I feel like even Star Wars fans want to know, hey, in a Star Wars game, I can be in a ship and fly to these different planets I want to go to.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely was kind of like on it as well. One of the other guys I do one of my other podcasts with, that was like one of the things he was looking forward to. And he's like kind of a casual Star Wars fan. He's not he's not into like all of the tiny facets of the Star Wars universe like us. So, and that's fine. But he was like really excited for it because he just wants just like a single player Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And he seemed like he was kind of excited for it, but even he was kind of just like, it's cool. I don't know.
No, I don't think what they showed is a good indication of the game, because Respawn even posted on their social media a picture of their banner, and it got a lot of different groups game of the show. Like kind of funny, for example, each person's got 3. So, guaranteed Cyberpunk got one, but a lot of people were choosing this as one of their games of the show, which to me means like if I saw that, if I just went off that gameplay demo, I would.
It has to be great, not good for it to be a game of the show.
Yes, something's got to be better than what they showed us. Like they maybe got a better demo than we did.
And I'll tell you what, I was more excited about this gameplay footage than the Avengers gameplay footage.
Oh, 100%.
That's another. Maybe we could save that for another day or something. But you want to talk about Uncanny Valley?
Yeah,
that Avengers
100%.
trailer. Whoa.
That was uncanny.
And it's like people, and like Jeff from the podcast, he keeps saying, well, it's just because you're used to the MCU actors like Chris Evans and all that. I'm like, no, it's not anything to do with that. Like I'm fine with other versions or other appearances of these characters. I mean, I'm a comics fan. There's been a million different artists that have drawn Steve Rogers. That's not what I'm worried about. It's the fact that these character models just look very strange in this Avengers game. Yeah. So at least in Fallen Order, they look right. Yeah. I mean, it is that weird thing of like, we're in between gaming generations, and we're going to this is kind of getting into a little bit of our shared nerdy kind of gamerness, where casual gamers aren't going to know all this. But I mean, it's kind of in between cycles where it's like the PS4 and Xbox One are about to be the old consoles. And so it's a matter of, well, could this game look better if it didn't have to be made for PS4 and Xbox One and was made for like high-end PCs and PS5? Could it? I don't know. It's just really weird because I still sometimes like I'll just like when I'm in one of those moods where I don't want to play anything and I look at every game on all my consoles and I'm like, I hate all of these, and I'll randomly boot up like Force Unleashed 2. And I just can't believe how good the pre-rendered cutscenes in that game are. It looks like Sam Witwer. Like it looks really real Sam Witwer there. And so I can't believe how good those games look. So this game, I mean, I'm sure it does actually look better than that, but in my mind's eye, I still think of like Force Unleashed 2 just being like stupid graphically, like just looking so good graphically. So
yeah, well, the screenshots on this Collider article talking about it, like granted, they could be doctored, whatever. They could have tweaked them a little bit, but like the biggest thing,
I'm sure they're real. Biggest
thing here being the lightsaber. That was one thing too in terms of the visuals. The lightsaber that they showed, it looked cool. I liked the effect that they had to it. Like, you know, of course, your typical. It looked good in animation, but it just looked very like it. A good comparison probably would be it looked like Alec Guinness's saber.
Like it looked rotoscoped.
Not like what you would see from the sequel trilogy.
By the way, I hate this hilt, like this default hilt. I really hope they have like DLC hilts or something, because I do not like the default hilt. I
don't mind it.
It looks like it's supposed to be like a staff. It's weird,
right?
I don't like it. It's like too long. It's like if Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu have normal lightsabers, why does Cal Kestis have a fancy looking, like ceremonial looking lightsaber? Like, did he get it from someone?
He could have picked it up on his way out, like escaping the Jedi Temple.
I guess. Like, what did he get it from? Like Adi Gallia's dead body or something?
The history of it, I'm fascinated. And the thing I don't like is in the deluxe
edition. Didn't they
edition,
say it's a spoiler to say where he got the saber from or something?
I don't remember, but in the deluxe edition, like the picture I sent you of the deluxe edition, which showed the skins, there's no reason. Like, if I still have my Best Buy Gamers Club and I get it for the same price as I would the normal copy, sure, fine, cool. Like, I'll do that. But there's the skins that they showed for BB1 and for the lightsaber hilts were just not it. Like, they didn't do anything for me. Of course, I'm not expecting them to do legacy saber hilts.
Oh, by the way, I'm doing the EA Access Premiere for $15, and I'm just gonna play it in that. I'm just gonna, because it's not gonna take me more than a month to beat, so I'm just gonna do that and play it on PC.
Yeah,
and it's gonna look way better on my PC than my PS4. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't mind the hilt. The skins for the hilt was the one I was like, gross. Like, just do something better than that.
It's just weird. It's like there better be a good reason why he has this crazy fancy ceremonial looking hilt, because it's like. Yeah. All these other legendary Jedi had normal looking lightsaber hilts. Why does this dude have one that looks like, I don't know, like it almost looks like it's out of like an ancient Jedi vault.
It definitely looks like the end of it's very broken and shattered. So it looks like it looks ceremonial almost. Like it looks like it was like from one of the original Jedi or something. I don't know. It's very strange. I hope they explain it, because if they don't explain it and it's just like he just has a fancy looking lightsaber for the sake of having a fancy looking lightsaber, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's weird. Yeah.
But yeah, and so the fifth sister is the villain in this.
I thought it was the sixth. It's not the sixth. Is it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I
get them all confused because the seventh sister was the one in Rebels. Yeah, I can't remember. I don't remember. It's maybe I have it reversed. I don't remember. It's been a year since Rebels ended, and it's been like 3 years since whatever sister died in that show. Sorry, spoilers. Yeah, so you're going to get to meet Wookiees on Kashyyyk, specifically General Tarful. I'm assuming Chewbacca's going to be in it, just because it's like, of course he would be in it. But definitely General Tarful, who is the other Wookiee with Chewbacca in Revenge of the Sith when Yoda was leaving for Dagobah. And we mentioned Saw Gerrera will be returning. It is younger Saw Gerrera, so yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and say maybe 10 years before Battle Yavin-ish. If they haven't, they might have even specified, but I'm just guessing because I'm not reading it in front of me. I'm guessing 10 to 15 years before the Battle of Yavin. Because it was, 18 years between Revenge of the Sith and...
Because you hypothesize if he's a Padawan, when that was going on, hypothesize maybe he's 10. So 10 years, you'd be 20. So, I mean, that would look fit for his age.
Right. So, yeah, so we'll see. And then BD-1 is Cal's droid. He's cool. I don't know. Like, I need to see it. Like, I need to see him. Well, I hope that he is cooler than the droid from Battlefront 2, because like that, like they just didn't do anything with him.
Oh yeah,
he was there. Like he like you open Battlefront 2, like the campaign, playing as that droid, and then you just kind of never really do anything with him otherwise.
No, he already has more uses in that gameplay demo, and like he's how you get health. Like if you're low on health, you say, "Hey, BD, I need some help," and like he'll launch that like pack
like,
that like
shoot you with a backed cartridge or something.
So I mean, there's already more uses for him. So
yeah, so I mean, he looks cool. I got him kind of like momentarily confused with Dio from Rise of Skywalker, just because they kind of were both revealed around the same time, and it's like, wait a minute, Dio is the one. I was thinking like Dio is the one, like the unicycle one, right, from Rise of Skywalker, and then BD1 is the other one. So, I mean, I know them apart, but like naming wise, I got them confused at first. So, but yeah, so I mean, the game looks good. It definitely does not look like a bad game, but I don't know. Like you said, I'm more excited for the Lego one because Lego one just looks fun. This looks like it's going to be like it looks like it's going to be not a grind, but it looks like it's going to be very slow paced.
It's very.
You need to be like it seems very serious, and Lego Star Wars is just going to be a blast. You know what I mean?
So how do you feel about the whole thing with speaking of gameplay, the whole dismemberment thing?
So that's what I was kind of going to jump into earlier as well, and I hate to say it, I don't want to be an advocate for violence or anything, but that kind of breaks the immersion a little bit from me. That broke the immersion of that gameplay trailer for me because it's a lightsaber. It's like, why am I not just using a staff then? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why am I not just using a blunt weapon if I'm not going to cut people's limbs off? Because that's like Force Unleashed. You're lopping heads off. You're cutting body parts off. You're cutting stormtroopers in half. And in this game, it's very strange how like it's closer up to the character models than Force Unleashed was, or at least Force Unleashed 2. Force Unleashed 1 was a little kind of in between. And it's like, I don't know. Isn't it weird to you? Like,
it is, but I mean, I could be okay with the happy medium they've given us. So like, for example, in the gameplay demo at one point, when you
shows
do like
big orange
like he's
gashes
almost cut in half, but he's not actually falling apart. I love that one move where you bring him over. The two things I really enjoyed from the trailer, one of them was the animation of you bringing him over and stabbing the lightsaber through the chest and seeing like it singed through his armor. And the other one was the force ability, like the Kylo ability, where someone's shooting at you, you do that thing where it basically just stops them in time, and then like you can rush over him or something like that. Like the animations look quality, but yeah, I could be okay with that happy medium they've given us, but it is definitely weird. Like this game is probably going to get a T rating, right? But wait, wasn't the Force Unleashed T?
Yeah, I thought so.
So yeah, then that doesn't make sense.
I mean, as long as there's no blood, I guess. But I don't know. So I'm reading on an article from PlayStationLifestyle.net. I don't know how valid it is. I don't know if they have any sources, but source IGN. So go check out IGN's article on dismemberment in Fallen Order. But this says dismemberment will be used in select cases. So I wonder if it's just going to be relegated to like cutscenes, maybe. Like maybe if he's fighting against like another sword, like someone with like a vibro staff or like a vibro blade, or maybe like a Sith, not a Sith, but like, you know, like one of the Inquisitors, like maybe he cuts one of their hands off or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe it's relegated for like maybe
not full lopping off head.
Maybe it's supposed to be like more impactful when it does happen. I don't know. It sounds honestly, you know what it sounds more like, and everyone's saying it's probably because, you know, the violence of it. It sounds more like video RAM, like VRAM resource management. Like they don't want to have all these other little particles and other like items that they need to load in the game. You know, like that's almost what it sounds like. Where it's like the game wouldn't run well if there was too many body parts all over the place.
Right, but see, there is a statement here that contradicts that, and it says, however, you will be able to slice limbs off of droid enemies and other alien creatures.
So just not stormtroopers.
Just not.
But it's weird because it's like stormtroopers. Like they're not their body parts aren't exposed though. That's the weird part. It's not like you're like cutting an actual like organic arm off. You're cutting off like a white armored arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that would make sense.
It's not a huge deal to me, but it is kind of a bummer. It's like it's not like if we had never gotten dismemberment in Star Wars in the past, sure.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it had been around and now all of a sudden Disney owns Star Wars and it's got to be Disneyified and can't dismember anything. I don't know. I don't want to seem like it's that big a deal because I'm still going to enjoy the hell out of this game, but it is like a little bit of a bummer where it's like, why? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Especially when it's such a staple in Star Wars. Everyone, like, there's like, what, at least one dismemberment in every Star Wars movie?
Yeah.
I mean,
one person's get their arms cut. One person gets their left arm cut off.
Yeah, because it was Ponda Baba in Episode 4. It was Luke's hand in Empire,
and also the Oh God. Oh, what? Oh my God.
The I almost said the Yeti. The
Yeah, yeah,
why
yeah.
can't I'm like having a total brain fart. I'm so embarrassed. Oh my god. The
Um,
Wampa.
Wampa.
My
Yeah,
god,
thank you.
I'm like, I think because you couldn't remember, it made me not remember.
Not remember it.
But yeah, so the Wampa gets his arm cut off in the beginning, and Luke loses his hand. Return of the Jedi, Vader loses his hand again.
Yeah.
Was there another dismemberment in that movie?
I don't think so. What was the Phantom Menace? Is the only one I don't remember.
Was there Phantom Menace? Because I mean, Darth Maul gets cut in half. Does that count?
Yeah,
Like I guess
yeah.
that,
And
that
then in
probably
episode
counts.
3, Mace gets both of his hands cut off.
Mace gets both his hand cut off. Dooku gets his hands and his head cut off.
Yeah,
Attack of the Clones, Anakin loses his arm. So it's
yeah.
not like there hasn't been dismemberment in the movies, you know? So it's like weird. I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, where do you stand on that?
I mean, like I was saying, the happy meat, like them showing the laser, like the burns from the lightsaber is kind of a happy medium. But also, if you want to read into it more in terms of like Stormtrooper, we know the Stormtrooper's armor isn't the best, but it could make sense kind of why he's not cutting all the way through because there's some kind of resistance there.
I'm going to stop you right there. These stormtroopers get knocked out from each other getting headbutted with their helmets on. So no, I don't buy that.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
they'll punch, like someone will get punched in the head with someone's bare hand and get knocked out with the stormtrooper helmet. I don't buy that.
I mean, it would make sense more to me, like during the dark time where like they're hunting Jedi, so the armor needs to be
okay.
you can't just cut them through.
Maybe I could buy that. Maybe
Zillo and then once the Jedi are gone,
maybe that's what they did with the Zillo Beast tech. You remember the Zillo Beast?
Yeah, I remember the Zillo Beast. I thought you were continuing going on, and that's why.
No, I was just saying, like maybe like because they never followed up on. They always just kind of implied like that they made Stormtrooper like that Palpatine wanted to use it because he was planning on killing the Jedi. Like they implied that, but I don't know if they actually did anything with the Zillo Beast like armor plating technology. So maybe that plays into it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, just a couple closing thoughts for myself. Gordy Hobb is returning as a composer alongside Stephen Barton, who I'm not familiar with. Looks like he's done Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, Titanfall. He's done some other games, so he's got a good pedigree, it seems like. And then Gordy Hobb has been doing pretty much all of the Disney era Star Wars game that I can think of. I'm sure he's not done every single one, but I mean he's done Battlefront 1 and 2. He's obviously doing Jedi Fallen Order, and he's great as well. Which he actually did in Star Wars Battlefront 1, like the new, like the 2015. Yeah, I took that game 2 years to come out. My God. He did a new piece for Sullust, the planet.
yeah.
And it sounds right out of like the prequel era. So I mean, shout out to Gordy Hobb. And I like there's a promo picture of which is really one of the first kind of concept art pieces for the game where Cal and BD1 are standing on like this little rock kind of like a mountainside or like a cliffside, and then it shows a Jedi cruiser crashed into what looks like an ocean, and that looks really cool to me. I hope that they use a lot of that iconography from the prequels because it is still in between prequels and an original trilogy where like the Jedi cruiser didn't look like a straight up Star Destroyer. You know what I mean? It did look different. And so hopefully they show some of that kind of Jedi Order tech kind of in shambles, maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe show us a couple of like the Jedi Starfighters that are crash landed somewhere, or I hope they have a good blend of like prequel looking ships and kind of machinery and, blended with that original trilogy, kind of like classic Star Destroyers, classic TIE fighters, all that stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm optimistic for the game. There's just so many games coming out this year. It's like, it's hard for me to get excited for any of them because there's so many,
Yeah, I could agree. Yeah, the Fallen Order is coming out pretty soon. I mean, we're definitely going to get it in fall. So, there's also a lot of games coming out in fall too. So it's one of those that just, when I get around to picking it up, it's probably one that I'm going to play as close as I can to release, because I am still excited for it. but it's just a very interesting commentary on what they actually showed us versus what they could have and why that choice was made is really the most puzzling thing for me. But yeah, I'm still excited for it. It's one of those that another reason mostly why I'm excited for it is it's a canonical mainstay look at a specific different time that we haven't seen in recent memory as far as visually. So hopefully they really explore that and expand that than more than what we already know. And of course, Rebels is a big one as well. But this is another medium, and it looks like they're taking different routes to do different things. So it's still exciting, but just questionable decisions.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about that as more information comes out, as with the Lego Star Wars Skywalker saga. But let's wrap the episode up with some of our favorite memories and game, kind of what our favorite games are out of like the Star Wars gamut of LucasArts games, and there's been all kinds of Star Wars games. So I'm gonna, I don't know. Do you want to do like a maybe not top 5, but like you want to just like list like the first 5 that come to mind? And then we'll kind of go from there. So I'll list off 5 Star Wars games, and then you can go and list off any 5 that you want. So again, these maybe aren't my like in order, like favorite top 5, whatever. It's just the first 5 that come to mind. So I'm going to throw out there Force Unleashed 2. I'm going to say Star Wars Pod Racer for N64. Not Racer Revenge, the first one, because Racer Revenge was like the re-release on PS2, but like with like weird changes, and then like Attack of the Clones era Anakin instead of Phantom Menace era Anakin, which doesn't really make sense. So N64 era Pod Racer, and so that's 2. I'm gonna say Star Wars Bounty Hunter, the Jango Fett, PS2 GameCube game. I'm gonna say Star Wars Battlefront 2015, the first of the new Star Wars Battlefronts. I'll throw out there, and then. I don't know. What's a 5th Star Wars game? I'll just stick to those 4, and then you go ahead. And maybe if I think of something else, I'll throw something else out there. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna say, actually, our lists are gonna be a little bit different. I like that. I enjoy that.
Well, I left a couple off that I probably knew you would say. So
right. So for sure is gonna be Battlefront 2, 2005.
Like the original
Battlefront 2. Yeah. Game I love. I have such great memories in it. I'm gonna say, let's see, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Okay,
that game was
on PS2.
On PS2, yeah, super fun, super like honestly good tie-in game. To be honest, like movie, like when we lived in the era of movie games like that. I'm gonna say Rogue Squadron, probably Rogue Squadron 3 on GameCube, because that's the one I played the most. Very interesting, really fun gameplay. That's 3. I'm gonna say Force Unleashed 1. I definitely loved 1 more than 2. I want to go back and play 2, but I definitely
so the reason I really like 2 is because I don't compare it to the first one. It's just you can beat it in like 4 hours. And I just love the arcadiness of it. Whereas 1 was very like RPG heavy. It was almost like not like a Mass Effect game, because that would be more like KOTOR, but like I don't know. It was kind of like this. It was RPG heavy, and Force Unleashed 2. It was just fun. It's like you could jump in and play it as if it was one of the movies and be done with it in a day. That's why I love Force Unleashed 2.
And then I'm and then I'm probably gonna say I know there's some I'm missing, but I'm probably gonna say the complete saga as my number 5, with a shout out to Star Wars Obi-Wan on Xbox, a game I never played but always wanted to.
Okay, so go through your 5 again.
Battlefront 2, the original. Revenge of the Sith, the tie-in game.
Yep.
The Force Unleashed 1. Maybe I only did say 4.
I thought you said 1 more, but I don't remember what it was.
I did. The complete saga. Star Wars: The Complete Saga, and then Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 3 on GameCube.
Okay, that's a good one. I was actually kind of like thinking of that, but couldn't remember the name of it.
That was the one. That was a Rogue Squadron game I played the most of. Also, shout out to Star Wars Clone Wars. from 2002. That game was a really fun, like pretense to Battlefront 2. Because it was very like you're in tanks, like you're fighting the Battle of Geonosis in terms of like tanks from the droids and clones and things like that. I remember playing that one a lot too. There's
Now,
a lot. There's a lot you can shout out on here.
were you a KOTOR fan? I never got into it because I never owned an original Xbox. So like by the time it was available to me, it was so much later where I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's kind of same. I played the first. I have a love-hate relationship with the like older like Jedi games like Jedi Knight and stuff like that. And KOTOR, because like with KOTOR in particular, I played the first 2 hours of it, but it was whenever I was a kid and I was impatient. Like, why don't I have a lightsaber already? And so like I didn't want to.
Right, it's a straight up BioWare RPG. Like,
yeah. Well, also with Jedi Knight as well, Jedi Knight 2 in particular, where you start out and I'm like, why don't I have a lightsaber starting out? And it was one of those, going back now, I probably would enjoy them more. But back then as a kid, I just wanted to play with a lightsaber.
Yeah, I feel you on that, definitely. I feel like there's a Star Wars game that I'm forgetting. And I'm like kind of...
Republic Commando, maybe?
No.
I tried to play that recently, and it was fun, but it's definitely dated, so it's kind of hard to look past.
Let me pull up like maybe my Steam library, because I have like a bunch of Star Wars games from like one of the Star Wars Humble Bundles. Oh, look at that! Star Wars: The Complete Saga just popped up on the homepage for Steam. Let's
also shout out to a kind of terrible game, Star Wars Masters of Terrascasi, which they shouted out in Solo.
And it was mentioned in one of the books I was just maybe it was Plagueis. So I want to talk about Star Wars books next week. You need to catch up. At least get through Dooku Lost. At least get through that.
Yeah,
you can do Dooku Lost. I'm not expecting you to do all the other ones that I told you to listen to, but Dooku Lost you can get through or Jedi Lost. It's Dooku : Jedi Lost.
Yeah.
Tell you what, that the ending of that book did not see that coming. So yeah, go listen to it. But
remember Super Bombad Racing?
Do not remember that. No,
that was the like Jedi.
Oh, apparently I have Force Unleashed
Mario
1
Kart.
and 2 on Steam. I didn't realize I had 1 and 2. I know I had 2.
It was very much a kart racer, like Jedi Mario or Star Wars Mario Kart.
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I ever played it. Yeah, I don't know. There's like Empire at War was kind of cool. But I mean, I loved Star Wars Bounty Hunter.
I really liked it too. I got a lot. It was
cool seeing all the locations. Like it's like seeing Coruscant, seeing all the kind of like seedy underworld kind of locations, which is why it's such a bummer we didn't get 1313. But
yeah,
excuse me, like it was cool seeing like that other side of Star Wars because you were always a Jedi, and so this time it's like no, you're the bad guy this time. And I mean, you could be the bad guy in KOTOR, but you know what I'm saying.
There's also
not even that Django's a bad guy, but he's a mercenary, so it's like a moral gray area. There's all that. There's
also a really fun, probably one of my most fun Star Wars games. It's actually on the Game Boy Advance. It was Star Wars Trilogy: Apprentice of the Force. That's a really good, fun game. Like it's a way less harder version of Super Star Wars. But it's also like the animation style, it's very Nintendo-esque where it fits the platform. It looks good, but it also just plays really fun. It's definitely a side scroller, but it's super fun. I played that religiously.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't think I ever even heard of that, so that's cool. Trying to think. I thought I don't know. Maybe I'll think it over and come back maybe on the next episode. But yeah, Star Wars video games. There's been a lot of them. I never really got into like the Dark Forces and like whatever the Kyle Katarn ones were. Like I never got into those either.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Well, what I said was like I would try them. I'm like, why don't I have a lightsaber already?
Well, the Phantom Menace movie tie-in game was actually I was 9 years old when I played it. So it probably was bad, but like when I was 9, I didn't care. It was fun. I played it with my 6-year-old or 5-year-old brother, and he was terrible at it. So but I remember it being fun and interesting. I don't remember ever getting off the Trade Federation like starting like like when you like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon have to meet the Trade Federation and then get off to like get to Naboo. I don't know if I ever even got past that level because I was 9, like I said, but I remember it being decent. But yeah, I don't know. So, all right, I want to go over what I have. I'm not going to talk about it, but I just want to like kind of list off what I've gotten through in Star Wars books this past couple weeks. So I got through Darth Plagueis, which is now Legends, and kind of officially decanonized by certain events in the canon universe, where like Dooku doesn't leave the Order until after Qui-Gon dies in Plagueis, whereas in Master and Apprentice, I don't think they actually explicitly say in Dooku lost, but in Master and Apprentice, I think he's already left the Order.
They don't specifically say a timeline, but they say like when the book starts, they talk about Dooku leaving. So at the beginning of the book, they talk about Dooku has already left the Jedi Temple.
Right. So that alone kind of decanonizes Plagueis, but there's some other spoilery things I won't say that kind of decanonize it as well, which is kind of a bummer because a lot of Plagueis, like a lot of stuff that happens in that book, are actually really, really interesting ideas that I really hope kind of get. Like I hope that they kind of read, like I hope they do kind of like what they did with Timothy Zahn, where it's like give James Luceno a chance to write a new canon Plagueis book, because some of the ideas in that book were really, really cool. And yeah, so I got through that. I read, or I mean, this is all Audible. I don't actually read anything anymore because I listen to audiobooks at work. But I got through Dooku Jedi Lost. I'm always going to say that wrong. Which was narrated by a full cast. So it felt more like an audio drama or like an audio play versus an audio book. And it was really interesting. It was a cool change of pace. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if it was just presented like normal audiobooks are. I'm not quite sure. I think that it definitely added to it a lot, but I enjoyed it a lot. It was really fun. It was like a very extended episode of the Clone Wars. Like it almost felt like a Clone Wars arc. So that was interesting. I really enjoyed it. I got through Master and Apprentice. We talked about, right? We need to do like an actual like review.
Spoiler cast for it.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll do that. But so both of us got through Master and Apprentice. You finished it, right? Or are you still?
Yeah. Yes. No. I finished it. Yeah, I finished it last week.
And it's cool because Jedi Lost kind of refers to not things that happen in Master and Apprentice, but like things that you would recognize because they were also kind of mentioned in like a tertiary fashion. Like I don't want to get spoilery, but it's like you'll recognize things because you had gone through Master and Apprentice.
I'll ask you one question as vague as possible. Is one of those in particular one of the flashback scenes with Dooku, with Qui-Gon and Dooku?
There are scenes with Qui-Gon and Dooku, but it's not a repeat of any scene that was in Master and Apprentice.
Okay.
But so
I'm thinking of one in particular. You know which one I'm thinking about?
With the
when they're hunting the assassin in his flashback.
Oh, maybe. I don't remember. I don't know. Maybe I'll try and go through Master and Apprentice again before next week. Maybe. Something similar to that, if not. But Rael Averross is kind of mentioned in it as well. And so it's like, I know who that is. That's cool. So, and like they mentioned like the princess from Master and Apprentice because it's before Master and Apprentice. So it's like little things that you'll pick up on because of Master and Apprentice. So it's cool. And then I want to start Alphabet Squadron, which is, I believe, the book from April. I think they skipped a release in May because it was. So Alphabet Squadron, I think, was June 2019. I think Jedi Lost and Master and Apprentice were both April, and that's why they skipped a book release in May. And then next month, July, will be Thrawn Treason, which I'm so excited for. But so the reviews that I've kind of seen for Alphabet Squadron, because it's like an A-wing, B-wing, so I had to put that together because I looked at the little picture and I was like, oh, there's an A-wing and a B-wing, and that's right, it's Alphabet Squadron. So, but everyone's saying like this is the closest we've gotten to like the old X-wing books, and it's going to be a trilogy. So it's like, all right, well, it's worth investing in. You know what I mean? It's not like a one-off.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to do that next. I think I'm going to go through Master and Apprentice one more time so we can talk about it because you read it way more recently than I did.
I finished.
But I'm excited for Alphabet Squadron too. It sounds really interesting. It sounds very character focused, and it sounds like you kind of get into the pathos of each of the characters instead of kind of just them being generic people. So that sounds really interesting to me. I want to get through that. And then, of course, Thrawn Treason is next month. The end of next month. It's like it's so far away. Like I'm so mad. I just want that book now, and it's so far away. So, but it gives me time to go through Thrawn and Thrawn Alliances again as well. So, but yeah. So, do you have anything you want to talk about, book or other non-book related either? You know, just while we because we're about to wrap this episode up.
I mean, speaking on Master Apprentice, I really enjoyed, like, I was almost done with it. I had like 3 hours left. I was like, I'm really enjoying this. And in those last 3 hours, it was one of those, oh man, like I was like really, really involved. And like certain parts in the last 3 hours, like I didn't see coming. Like I didn't see that being the reveal. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And another thing, I love the ending of it. Like I love that little monologue piece.
Like the epilogue, you mean?
Yeah, the epilogue. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say the ending was cool too, where like the action towards like the climax of the actual novel. But yeah, the epilogue was very somber, but I really liked it.
Yeah, there's that book was really well done. That one became one of my favorite canonical.
And
books.
it helps that the narration was excellent as well. Not that I mean I think Mark Thompson is excellent in the Thrawn books, but it was just different and it was cool. It was a nice change of pace where it was nice to hear another person do a good job as well as Mark Thompson. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it was top notch. You know, even in some of Mark Thompson's stuff, like of course, we always talk about like whiny teen Anakin from
it was. I was more okay with it the second time around, like I said, but the first time around, it was kind of tough to get.
Yeah, but there wasn't anything that was jarring.
Surfer dude, Anakin.
There wasn't anything that was jarring until you made the comment about Rail sounding like John Goodman. And then when I listened to it the next day, I was like, oh, God,
he sounds like John Goodman.
He sounds like John Goodman. He really does.
It didn't even bother me. It was just a fact. It was like, he sounds like John Goodman.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a very important lore book for you know, going forward. It's not just like Last Shot was canonical, but it was a very isolated tale.
You seemed way more high on Last Shot than me. I thought Last Shot was a big waste of time.
In retrospect, it's not one of my favorites.
Last Shot, it's like why did any of this, like half the book didn't need to be in the book, like the past Han scenes didn't need to be in the book. The Lando stuff was like kind of cool, I guess, but it's like there was so much in that book that just didn't need to be there. That book could have been 5 hours shorter.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer an L3 and Lando book. Like if I had to pick between the two, that's what I would pick, because like that they were my favorite parts, and which was sad, of course, in Solo when you did. I was expecting a lot of L3, and we just didn't get that. So,
yeah, I'm with you on that.
So, yeah, Treason's coming out soon. I would like to go back and read Alliances. I don't know if I have the chance to, just because of like I'm getting out of training in my job right now. I'm starting actually on Saturday, and then I'll have my days off.
Yeah, starting next week. That weird period.
So yeah, I work at a call center, so you know there's going to be a lot of downtime because we're in a slow period. So I'll have time to catch up, but it's at the end of July, so hopefully I'll have time to catch up to Alliances and go back through it before Treason comes out, because I know I'm going to be sending you a lot of text messages like, hey, what does this mean? Like what was this reference to?
It's been Treason, you mean?
Yeah, it's been a year at least since I've.
Oh yeah, because I recently, like a couple months ago. Sorry, I just hit the mic because that was loud. A couple months ago, I went through Thrawn and Alliances again, and I really want to go through them like another time because Thrawn 1 is so good. And Alliances is excellent as well. It always sounds like I'm down on Alliances, but it's just because I just really, really loved that first Thrawn book.
Thrawn's a great isolated story. Of course, it's important for the lore, but Alliances was really cool lore-wise. You know, obviously we talked about a couple episodes ago, the whole thing with Galaxy's Edge, but
is Batu going to tie in? Yeah.
Yeah, but just like what it does for like the Anakin time period, and like especially in the later parts of the book and those flashback scenes, it's like this is really interesting back stuff that we never really thought about, or we really even knew what was going on during the time of the Clone Wars. So it's very cool. Like Alliance was really good, like overall encompassing piece.
Yeah, I just really love that Thrawn 1 was actually like the story of Eli Vanto, not even like Thrawn himself.
Yeah.
And the fact that like Eli is going to be back in, man, I hope they don't kill him in like the first chapter in Treason. I hope that he's like actually in it, because it's like in the synopsis, it's not really a spoiler. In the synopsis, it says like Eli returns with like a message from the Chiss or something. And I really hope it's not what I hate when books and like movies and stuff do that, where it's like this person's back and then they're immediately dead. Like I really hope Eli is there with Thrawn for this book.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that.
But yeah, so stay tuned. So you want to do just next week will be Master and Apprentice spoilercast?
Yeah, we could do that. That'll work.
We'll do that, and then I want to plan out when we're going to do Attack of the Clones commentary. I really want to do that soon too. You want to do it? Can you do it this Saturday?
Maybe? I was hoping because I wasn't expecting to work this Saturday. I was hoping we could, but I'm gonna work 9 to 6 on Saturday.
Okay, so there's no way. So then maybe next weekend we'll do that.
Well, it'll be the same thing. I'll be working 9 to 6 for Saturdays, so we'll have to figure it out. It might have to be sometime during the week. Maybe like a Wednesday, because I do have Wednesdays off. So
maybe I'll just take a random Wednesday off. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll figure it out. But stay tuned for Attack of the Clones commentary. But next week will definitely be Star Wars Master and Apprentice commentary, not along with the book, an actual like spoiler cast. And then that is Claudia Gray did Master and Apprentice.
Correct.
Right?
Claudia Gray did Master and Apprentice.
For any listeners interested, go check it out. It's on Audible. You can obviously get the hardcover as well. It's not super long, but it's also not super short. That's what I liked about it, is that it was a very good length. Go check it out, and then check back with us next week where we spoil the whole thing. And that's going to do it. May the Force be with you.